Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Greg Shapiro, and let's queer up the worldview. Budapest Pride to march on June 28th despite anti-LGBTQ+ ban. Despite a sweeping ban on public LGBTQ events, tens of thousands will flood the streets of Budapest this Saturday for the city's 30th annual Pride Parade. Hungary's parliament passed a constitutional amendment in April, 140 to 21, making it illegal to hold or attend events that violate the country's so-called child protection law. This 2021 law bans the depiction or promotion of homosexuality to minors. Offenders face steep fines, and authorities can now use facial recognition to identify participants. At the same time, the ruling Fidesz party has pushed through another constitutional amendment declaring there are only two sexes, rejecting science and echoing a 2020 Trump-era U.S. policy. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orbán is a close ally of Donald Trump. Still, the parade will go on with Budapest Mayor Gergely Karácsony and more than 70 members of the European Parliament expected to attend. Organizers anticipate a record international turnout. Spokesperson Mete Hedges said, quote, "This is not only for the LGBTQ community, but for everyone," end quote. More than 30 foreign embassies, including Britain, France, and Germany, have publicly supported the march. The U.S., however, did not sign on. The embassy's joint statement praised the parade as, quote, "a symbol of resilience and progress," end quote. Budapest Pride will be on June 28th. As someone who is 1/4 Hungarian, I say Bajd meg to Viktor Orbán and Köszönöm to Budapest Mayor Gergely Karácsony. To our Hungarian LGBTQ folks, I say Maradj biztonos Gabon. That means be careful. Stay safe.
I was going to say, I don't know what that means, but I'm pretty certain I support it.
Yeah.
Well, that is, I trust Greg enough.
Yeah.
Well, I think we did the story a couple weeks ago about the protests that have been going on in Hungary and the real activism that's happening there in the LGBTQ community. And again, Pride, of course, it began as a protest. This was a glowing example of like people taking to the streets and not allowing these types of bans to come into effect, and that we can't be erased, and taking their lives at risk in many cases. I mean, this is a totalitarian regime. They don't have the perceived rights that we have here in the United States, where we can't be legally swooped off the streets. However, they're willing to go out there, and it's a lot. If you've seen the videos of the protests that they're having almost on a daily basis in Hungary, it's a lot of young people, way more young people than we see at our rallies and events here. So I really find this encouraging. I just hope it inspires more people to do so.
I was going to say something really similar. I've been reading this book called America Last that's about the kind of American rights obsession with authoritarian leaders in other countries. And of course, one of the key examples is Orbán. And like that is one of the things that they have for decades been really kind of obsessed and like almost fetishizing authoritarian rulers in foreign countries. And they have like as a guidebook, like as a lesson to implement that, almost like as a kind of incubator for things that they can later do in the United States. And one of the things that I'm trying to look at the kind of, silver lining here, much like you did just, Jeff, right? The protesters too, right? Like that is, we have to learn how they resisted those kinds of moments, because they're under such totalitarianism and such violence. People are surviving and have managed to create movements and create points of joy, queer joy, in spite of it all. And that we have to take as an important lesson, as a guidebook for ourselves too, because it's not that far off.
Right. No, I mean, one of the programs that SAVE has going on right now is they're training people to go to local city council commission meetings and to speak on behalf of the LGBTQ community. Again, outside of the enclaves of Wilton Manors or Miami Beach, where we're very, we're regularly on the agenda.
Preaching to the choir.
To go to, smaller towns and, within our county, and to actually speak and raise your voice. Because again, that type of energy is something that was very prevalent at other periods in our LGBTQ struggle or in the Black struggle or in many others. And we've kind of gotten away from it. Like, politics is local, and fighting these things at a local level, is where we start building power for people to become state senators, to become governors, to have all of those people in place. So it's important that we not just raise our voice by, clicking we don't like something on Facebook or boo or doing something like that, is to actually go out and do real activism. And that's what they're doing here in Hungary.
And more No Kings type marches.
Absolutely.
More of those.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah. I'm thinking that hopefully it's a bigger turnout than our World Pride we had in DC. Would be nice, right?
Yeah.
But Parliament, are they going to be in wigs? I'm curious. I just had that.
You never know.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff. Like you said about the local activism, right? Like it's 10 your city council meetings, right? Speak Out, the Human Rights Campaign, they score cities, right? So they score, like the city of Hollywood is scored, city of Wilton Manor, city of Fort Lauderdale. My city where I'm from, Hialeah, is actually like pretty low. Like we have a low score on by HRC, so not a lot of protections. There's a lot of activism in these cities there's a lot of opportunities for our community to stand up and attend these council meetings, to, even run for office, right? Like, support a local candidate, canvass for a local candidate, right? That you agree with, right? If you're you don't feel represented, right? Go for those candidates, learn about the candidates and go for candidates that support the LGBTQ plus community, because we are under attack here in Florida.
Absolutely.
We are under attack. It's not just Broward, right? It's not just Miami-Dade. In Florida, the state, we're under attack, right? And it's
in the United States.
Yeah. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.